Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Sentari Minor with me here today. He's at the forefront of healthcare innovation as the Executive Vice President and Chief of Staff at EvolvedMD. Welcome to the show, Sentari.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited for this conversation.
All right, excellent. Well, okay, that's Chief of Staff isn't something I hear very often, so I love that. Maybe we can talk about the team at EvolvedMD and give us a snapshot of the business right now, because you said you just finished another round of investments this summer.
Yeah.
And talk about its growth, where it's at now, where it's headed, and all that. So please, go ahead and fill us in on some of the background.
Yeah. So again, thanks for having me, Tim. Sentari Minor, Chief of Staff, of Executive Vice President here at EvolvedMD. I joined the firm in 2020, back when we were, I had to be employee 9 or 10. Since then, we're about at 250 employees currently.
So you need a Chief of Staff. Okay.
Yeah. 250 folks currently. We're across 5 states. So we've really built our company right in our own backyard. So we are Scottsdale based. Built out here and then expanded into the 4 corners of the Southwest. So Utah, then Colorado, New Mexico, and then last year we actually became bicoastal with a foray and move into Florida. And at the core of what we do is we integrate behavioral health into primary care. So we take a master's level clinician and place them right into your doctor's office. So your pediatrician, your gynecologist, your PCP, we collaborate on care to really outstanding patient outcomes. So that's the core of the business. Yes. And so, rapid growth. We've been on the Inc. 5000 4 years in a row now. And then, yes, I know. I'm just very excited about that. And then to your point, we recently closed a Series B round, $34 million, led by Goldman Sachs Sustainable Investments, along with our insiders, our previous investors, including, Waterline Ventures, Conductive Ventures, FCA, and HealthWorks. And so we have a really good group of investors that are behind us, and we're really excited to really take this work to the next level. But yeah, very rapid growth, especially in Phoenix, and we're just so proud of the work we've done and what we can do to really help increase access and reduce stigma among patients.
Okay, so before we dive into the details there, you mentioned a timeline that suggested you started in COVID. Is that right?
I did. I started this job in the middle of COVID. Yes.
Okay, and what were those challenges? Or did it play to the strengths of being remote and organizing different patients?
Actually, one of the things I talk about is the business case for mental health, and perhaps a rare positive externality of COVID was that it really showed the need for mental health. It really helped people understand that, wow, I need to talk to someone, but it also uncovered that how you show up at work is very much informed by how you show up at home or what's going on at home. So there's gone are the days where there's a stigma around mental health. It's people really need to talk to someone. So actually for COVID, for EvolvedMD, it was actually really a pivotal moment for us because we had some strategic partnerships that were saying a bunch of, and again, we integrate into primary care. So large health systems and primary care groups were saying, we have a bunch of patients that are now coming into their offices for mental health needs. We're not equipped for that, or we just don't have the time for that. Can you guys do it? So COVID was actually kind of a force multiplier for the work that we did. Okay. It was hard for everyone, obviously, but it was actually helpful for the work that we do and the expansion of that access. Okay,
so it wasn't really a detriment. It was, if anything, maybe a bit of a boon.
A bit of a boon in a world where it was still hard. I don't want to kind of discount the reality of the times, but yes, for us from a strategic and commercial standpoint, it was very much of a start of a boon.
Okay, very cool. So maybe you can lay out a little bit more, give an example of the different types of services you guys provide and how you help clients or patients with their care.
Yeah, so I would say a big thing would be partnering with large primary care groups in health systems. So here locally in Arizona, Honor Health, Banner Health, Evernorth, Optum. Chances are, if your primary care provider is within one of those groups, there's also one of our therapists there as well. So how it works is that if you're a patient, you go in and you talk to your doc, they screen you, they ideally would screen you for anxiety, depression, or wherever it might be. They would indicate that hey, maybe Tim, you should probably talk to a therapist Amy, part of EvolvedMD, and then your primary care provider and the therapist work together. The model that we use is called collaborative care. So the two would collaborate on your care along with some other ancillary services to really make sure that you're getting the best physical and mental health needed. And so we've just expanded that across the country.
Yeah, how does that look, though, in practice, in the sense that they're in the clinic talking to their primary, and then they say, you should maybe connect with this counselor or something? Is that done virtually at some later date?
No, actually, the beauty of our unique model is that that's done if the counselor or therapist has availability that day. They see that patient that day.
Wow.
One of the kind of really unique things about our model, and actually I think a competitive advantage, is that we are on person in site. So 70% of our visits are seen in person. So when we talk about being at Banner Honor Health, we are physically in that space with the patients, with the providers, and so we're in an extended part of the overall care team. And so if you're a patient, you go see your doctor, and then that doctor says, "Hey, we think that you might be great to see therapist Amy. Amy is right down the hall. Let me walk you over there to see her right now."
Nice.
Or either, "Hey, we'll get you on Amy's schedule within the next 3 to 5 days," and then they go forth and do that care in person.
Okay, that's awesome. Now let's talk a little bit. Now I have a lot of friends. My wife's a physician. I have a lot of friends who are physicians, and so this is an issue that it depends on your specialty and where you're at. My opinion is that the U.S. Healthcare system is really good at doing acute services, but mental health, longer term stuff, preventative medicine has not been our wheelhouse historically. And so, can you talk a little bit about how EvolvedMD sort of complements that sort of traditional practice?
Yeah, so one, we've done a lot of really good thought leadership work around our belief that traditional behavioral health is broken. So a couple of things there, which is traditionally in behavioral health, patients are treated like annuities, right? So think about how long, I don't know if you see a therapist, but I see a therapist, and I've had my therapist for at least 7 years, and the idea would be that like I see him all the time, but there's typically no treatment plan to get better. Right? There's you see me as much as you need to see me, but there's no actual plan on what does good look like, what does great look like, and how do I get you to not. The idea would be for you to not see me as a therapist. What EvolvedMD has done is leverage the collaborative care model and really look at how do we then get patients on a track to say, you come to me, Tim, or you come to one of our providers, Tim. We have a plan for you to get out of this and kind of just check in as needed. But really, there's a place for you to get the skills and needs that you to cope and do this on your own. So that's one really change to traditional behavioral health. As it relates in primary care, we know that most mental health symptoms show up in primary care, and primary care is just either not equipped or not resourced to deal with that. So there's a lot of stats around how much mental health is in primary care. There's also a lot of stats around suicidal ideation and primary care. Depending on the research, it could say that 67% of folks that have attempted suicide saw their primary care provider within a month of that date, which means that primary care is uniquely positioned to help those, and well suited. So if primary care providers are overworked and already stressed out, which they are, and kudos to the work that they do, having something like an EvolvedMD helps them with those patients who might be having those challenges. So
tool or resource that they can lean on to if they can identify it, they can hook them up and get them serviced quicker. Who was the book? I think it was Daniel Amen. I read. Are you familiar with The End of Mental Illness or something like that? That's a good book. It's just some of the breakthroughs lately in the past decade of how important physiology is, right? And all the different factors, and how people used to think that it was, he has a mental problem and you're going to deal with the symptoms the rest of your life, and you can't reverse it, type of thing. It was a different sort of mindset, and now we know a lot more and a lot better. But also to your point, it's everybody can benefit from therapy. even again, sort of our traditional standard of care is to treat things when there's an incident, right? If there's a traumatic event or something. But actually, even therapists are required to have therapy for themselves, aren't they? Is that right? Yeah. So it's just a chance to discuss your life and figure out where you're at and to reevaluate periodically what's wrong with that, right? It helps everybody stay on the rails, or in between the rails.
And I think COVID did a really good job of helping us kind of reframe and reposition that, right? So this idea long gone of, it's the crazies that see a therapist. It's like, no, it's
Right.
it's everyone from the worried well to the folks that actually do need deep, severe mental illness treatment. And I think COVID did a really good job of helping us understand that we normalized mental health and mental health access, which was a great thing.
Okay. Yeah. 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 We're in a weird time too, right? I mean, historically, what's the saying? We're running an operating system that's tens of thousands of years old in this new environment, and it's just not meant for it. There's all this stimulation and all these new different stresses, and something comes at us, we can't kill it and eat it. We have to just stuff our feelings down and
Right.
try to deal with it some other way, and our bodies are working a different way. Okay, interesting. Thank you, Sentari. So can you talk about, you mentioned some of the maybe competition in the space. Is there competition in different aspects of the industry trying to provide different types of care?
I wouldn't think of it as competition. I think there's a place at the table for everyone, because at the end of the day, we believe that a system that increases access is a great system. So I do think there's kind of, if you were thinking about competition around like the different models and modalities, but I think ultimately what we want to say is that we truly believe that integrated care, collaborative care, the work that we do is the best way to increase access and provide kind of scalable mental health. So seeing patients right where they are typically anyway, the primary care office, is a great way to get access. But also the way that the model works is that, you have it's not long-term longitudinal talk therapy. It's like we're getting the people the skills, the resources, and the things they need to kind of graduate from us. Like our great metric that we look at internally is like how many patients have graduated from the EvolvedMD program. And so I think that's unique, and we're trying to make sure that people can self-sustain and be sufficient on their own. But I wouldn't think of it as competition, because I think that everything has a place. EvolvedMD is right for a certain amount of patients, but you're also we're not the group that does severe mental illness, and that's just something that the traditional models you may need. There's things where talk therapy does work, and so I don't think of it as competition. I think it's more so like, how do we best provide a place for all of these groups to come together that really work for the larger masses in the population.
Okay. I imagine some of the challenges as you grow, is getting things suited. It's always comes down to reimbursements and for services, right? And making sure that the services you can provide are covered, right? And has that been a challenge in EvolvedMD business plan from the start?
Interesting enough, the collaborative care model, and I'd like to point out that psychiatric collaborative care was actually developed out of the University of Washington Ames Center. So we didn't patent this. We didn't come up with it. We just augmented the model and made it commercial. So. But the model itself is that we kind of are billed and reimbursed through primary care codes. So we're not a billing entity at EvolvedMD, but we bill through the primary care providers. And so reimbursements, we work with our customers, the large health systems and primary care groups, to help sure that the three specific codes that we do bill for are at that level. But the reimbursement conversation is not as pertinent to us, but it is pertinent to our customers. And so we work with our customers to make sure that they're getting the best things that they need. Yeah.
Okay, but that hasn't been something you've had to do yourselves. That was kind of in place, and you've been able to work with it from the start.
Yes, and so when we started EvolvedMD, the collaborative care codes, those CPT codes, were just coming online in Arizona. So it's kind of like a great coincidence and happenstance. But we've been able to strategically leverage those codes that are now in probably about half the United States, and so we can build those codes and we're reimbursed accordingly.
Okay. So is that part of the growth model, is to go where those codes are? That's obviously a lot easier.
That's a piece of it. The growth model is also very opportunistic. So let's go where folks want us. They've heard about us. We've done a really, really good job of building and evangelizing the brand. And so now we're very much seen as the trusted leader in collaborative care, kind of the gold standard of the work that we do. So a lot of inbound, but we also have a great sales team that's kind of looking at what are the markets that we want to be involved in and what do we want to look at moving forward. So national expansion is definitely a part of our 3 to 5 year plan, and then a better understanding like where are those markets that are going to have the biggest impact and biggest reach and will embrace us the most is top of mind.
Okay. Okay. What are some of the misconceptions people may have? Are there some common ones that people have when they're trying to think of what type of services EvolveMD or the niche that they fill?
Misconceptions. That's a great question. I don't think there's any misconceptions. I think a big one, just like from a model standpoint, is that we're very. I think people believe that we're very much virtual in tech, and we're a healthcare services company. We're not
Right.
health tech, we're healthcare services. So I think that's a big one. Like
Okay.
we're very
Yeah,
much
that
a
was me
people,
coming into this conversation.
We're very much a people heavy model, and not saying that that model won't pivot and change as we need to grow and scale, but more so, we believe that
Okay.
we believe that impactful therapy does happen when the person is right across from you. That is to say, we do at least 30% of our visits virtually because we understand that there's preference and there's like convenience things. If you're in a rural area, that's hard to have a provider, but we're very much in person. So I think that that's one of like, we're not a health tech company, we're a health services company, but I can't think of
Okay.
anything like off the top of my head around like common
Okay.
misconceptions, but that is a great question.
Well, I guess the next one might be for me anyway was the range of mental health issues you guys maybe deal with. Is it's as you mentioned the severe ones you don't type of thing.
Yeah. So mild to moderate. So anxiety, depression, OCD, things that like you would go see a PCP for, and they just need a little bit of extra help. So that's probably most of
Okay.
what we do. We do see some more serious folks, and depending on the clinician or where they are, like they can take those folks on. But we do have a really good, robust care coordination program that is part of the model where we refer out to. We can refer out to the community because there are just some things that we're just not equipped for, but we have great partners on taking care of those folks that we just can't.
Do you have numbers on the increased frequency or prevalence of those sorts of needs over the past 20 years or 40 years?
I don't have anything off the top of my head on longitudinally. I do know from Mental Health America that, there's been a steady increase in mental health needs,
Right.
mental health.
That was my guess, but I don't have data for it.
Strong increase, and then also, unfortunately, for a place like Arizona, as needs have increased, resources have decreased, and so there's like a delta between, what's going on, what Arizonans need or Phoenicians need, and what are the services that are available to them. So that's kind of more so what we look at, and then we believe that we can be a big help in that.
Okay. Okay. So Sentari, what was sort of your previous experience before you joined at EvolveMD?
Yeah, so it's so funny. Prior to EvolvedMD, I'd always been like the social impact space. So worked for a large number of nonprofits. I worked as director at Social Venture Partners. Did a stint at the Rodell Foundation, so mostly be in social impact. And then immediately prior to EvolvedMD, I ran a CEO consortium called Alder. So I was here in Phoenix, in Dallas, and San Francisco. So working with purposeful CEOs on kind of like the social impact piece, philanthropic and political impact. Like how do you, as a CEO or as a brand, really approach the problems of today? And then how I came to EvolvedMD is that one of the CEOs, as part of the Phoenix crew, is my current boss. So our CEO kind of poached me from that group to come over here to build out our first strategic plan and our first kind of like company rebrand, or not rebrand, brand refresh.
Okay. Very cool. All right. And throughout your career, then, what's been maybe the biggest challenge you've had to overcome?
Biggest challenge I've had to overcome. I have a really good executive coach. And I think one of the challenges that came up as I came into this organization was, I've always been someone that's, if you even know anything about predictive index, I'm categorized as a maverick. So like, go hard, go fast, don't ask questions, just push. And one of the challenges I had to learn on this job, or things I had to overcome, is you have to have a good narrative and story around like how do you get people to go alongside you, and also that may mean that you, Sentari, have to slow down to make sure that they can catch up. And that was so hard for me to do 5 years ago when I first started this. But it's been once I got that coaching, it was been really good to see how I've been able to kind of coach my peers. The executive has been really been able to develop my team members on you can have excellence, and that excellence doesn't mean that you have to go at 100 miles per hour all the time. It can mean like being
Sentari
more thoughtful.
speed.
Yeah. You don't have to go to Centauri speed to do this. You can be more methodical and intentional and like not bulldoze everything. And I would say I feel like reflecting on some of the issues I've had and previous work, it's been that's like been a challenge that I now have just recently in the last 5 years understood and learned.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one because I don't know if it's emotional intelligence, but when you're in part of a team, you can only go as fast as the slowest team member, right?
That's true. That's very true. That's very true.
Okay. So how about goals let's talk for the company for EvolvedMD. You're in Florida now, or what's sort of the 12-month goals for EvolvedMD?
That's a great question. We're trying to figure that out. We've just hired two new sales executives, one based in the south central part of the United States and one in the Northeast. So trying to figure out like how do we build out that piece of the company.
Okay.
The specific states and things. I think we're still trying to assess and figure it out, and that's up to our commercial team. That's great. So I would say couching that in general national expansion. We want to be in more states and see more people. And then I also think there's the big piece of like how do we become the best developer of integrated care clinicians in the country. So as we onboard more individuals, how do we create a culture and employee experience, the training to say that I'll give you this, Tim. Integrated care is not new, but it's a profession, and how we're thinking about it is very new. So we understand that if you're a traditional therapist that's coming to EvolvedMD, there's a lot that we have to unwind and teach you about doing this work in a primary care setting. Let's be the best at teaching people how to do therapy in primary care, and so that's one of the big things that we're also pushing towards as well.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so you're bright and outgoing. You have an executive coach. You're growth minded, right? So I have a reflection sort of question I like to ask people is, have you done anything in the last 12 months that's changed your life?
Ooh. Anything I've done in the last 12 months that's changed my life?
It could be a book or philosophy or an experience.
I've learned to, and it's still a challenge, I've learned to kind of say no to things and prioritize myself. So my coach did a really good job at the beginning of this year of like saying like I studied creative writing undergrad. I really love writing. He's like, when's the last time you like wrote for fun? And it's like, I haven't done it in a while because I've been so busy. And he's like, all right, what if you tackled creative writing, how you do the rest of your life and the rest of your job. So I've been spending intentional time just sitting down with a notebook, writing. Maybe it's poetry, maybe it's sort of a short story, but like that has been like super revitalizing to me, and I felt like my creative juices are there. So I think that's been life changing of just like saying no to like some things so I can focus on the things that really bring me joy and the things that I love. So I think that's been really, really, really helpful.
Okay, that's a good one because that's super important and powerful, right? Be more intentional with your time requires. And that focus requires saying no to good ideas and other good options, which is hard.
Yeah. And setting right boundaries with the people that you know and love, or you want to take on that new project at work, or you want to do those things. But it's like, actually, I want to spend my Friday afternoon sitting at a coffee shop with my notebook, just kind of thinking about new ideas for a story or sketching out some poetry. Like those are the things that really, really bring me joy. And I know I need to lean into that more.
Okay, cool. So, I'm going to dive into that a little bit more. Is that hard? Some people need a muse, right? They can't write unless everything's just right. And if you just budget time to work to be creative, that's sometimes hard for some people. Is that hard for you?
No, I'm really good at like time blocking anything. So like if I know that this time is set for whatever it might be, I'm really good about getting in the groove.
Oh, cool.
I'm also like my writing process is very much like I'll take a book or a magazine or an article that I'm reading online and just like literally read through and pick out words and like ideas that I just love. So part of that process is just like having 2 pages of like random words or like random phrases. It's like, oh, I loved how they phrased that. What can I use that in front? So a lot of it's kind of like brainstorming and ideation. I can do that. I can do that at any time.
Okay, you have a few different tools or mechanics that you can just play with to get the juices flowing. That's cool. That's cool. I'm reminded of I'm just spacing his name. The War of Art. He's written some good books. Anyway, he has a quote. He says, "I don't have a muse, I have a mortgage." I think is what, no. That was a different author. That was Jim Butcher.
I love that though.
Jim Butcher's great. He's a fictional author. He does all sorts of great stuff. But I'm sorry.
That's a good one.
But he talks about Sitzfleisch, right? And you sit your butt down and do it. And it's not about being creative. It's about being consistent and professional.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, but I know a lot of artists who are not like that at all. So I was wondering if you had that sort of. It's kind of like a superpower, really. If you can just sit down and write whenever you want, that's great.
Well, it's also like understanding what's the desired outcome of that writing. So I have someone on my team who I think is a creative writer himself, and one of the things I talked about is like you have to have unstructured time to just have ideas out there. Nothing has to come from it. Just write, like just start writing. You don't have to have like the great American novel that comes out of it, or like a Pulitzer-winning poem. Just start writing, and like once you start writing, you can synthesize that stuff after. So like my thing is just sit down, start writing, get some ideas together, and then go. And then from that, you'll create something that you can create.
Okay, excellent. So do you have any big goals, any legacy plans? Do you want to write a big novel? What's sort of your big, hairy, audacious goal?
That's a great question. I think, if I could get something like published in something like the New Yorker, like a poem or a short story, that would be cool. A bucket list item. But no, not really. Like I just enjoy I enjoy the act of writing and the art of writing. I like to share with my friends and colleagues and just like things that I've put together. But like there's no real intention behind what I do. But I do think at some point I do want to get like published at like a major level, and that would be
that'd be awesome.
That'd be great. That'd be fun.
That's another level of impact, because you have that with your work, right? Your work, You're helping people, you have an impact already, and you don't have a strong need to influence the masses with your other work, but that'd be fun. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So one more reflection question as we wrap things up here. What do you wish you knew sooner about building wealth and success earlier in your career?
Ooh, wealth and success earlier in my career. Well, I did. I sit on a board at ASU, and 2020 or 2021, I did the convocation address, and I did like 21 things I wish I knew at 21.
Okay.
And one of the things was like, I think big one is like, no one cares how smart you are if you can't get an idea across. And so I think I teach a lot of folks all the time around that. And I think that I've been reflecting on a lot, which is this idea of like, being well, and I know people think of it as like office politics, but being well liked is a career superpower. I did know that when I was earlier in my career, but now I know that more. It's like you really got to get people to like you if you want to survive in an organization. And so those were kind of the big things. I think the other piece is like from like a wealth and success point, like being thoughtful around money, like live it like. I keep thinking about like the idea of golden handcuffs, and I've been thinking about this a lot, which I try to live as much as I can within my means, so that I'm not so tied to an organization or a thought or a need for dollars that I can't make decisions that are not values aligned. Like I never want to be in a place where like I have to be here because I have the mortgage. It's like do something that you know you can afford. That way, if like something goes wrong, because something always does, you can pivot and flex as you need to. And the worst thing it would be is like you're staying somewhere or doing something that are against your values because you have to. And that's something that's always been top of mind for me.
Okay. That's those are both very good. The latter one, but also, play well with others or whatever. Yeah. I've seen that in so many different industries and like the people, the hiring team or committee or whatever, they'll be like, a bunch of really good candidates, but there's one no. They rub one person wrong on the committee, and so no. The one person who everybody got along with, they were like, "Yep, let's go with that one."
Being well liked will take you very far.
Okay, all right, Sentari. So, if people would like to connect with you and learn more, where should they go? What can they do?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. I'm very much prolific on LinkedIn, so I post a lot on LinkedIn. Some stuff's very popular, some stuff gets 3 or 4 likes. I like all of it, so it doesn't really bother me. But like, so if you want to find me on LinkedIn, just type in Sentari Minor. My Instagram's public. So again, Sentari Minor. I'll have a post of either like the gym. I'll post some like political commentary. I'll do some memes around things I think are funny. So like it's a hodgepodge of just very things that are authentically me. And then if you want to find me just to have a professional conversation, DM me on LinkedIn and we can grab coffee. I'm always happy to have conversations with anyone that's intellectually curious and want to learn more about them as well.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. Well, this is all great stuff. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Sentari Minor, for joining me today. Very much appreciate
this was so fun.
Yeah, sharing. It's a pleasure getting to know you better and hearing about you personally. You got a lot of cool stuff going on, but also EvolvedMD and the cool work you guys are doing. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.